I can't help but notice, based on what you said about yourself, as someone who no one remembers, as the guy who is kind of forgettable, blends in the background, very shy, it seems like even at this, your goal was to not really be noticed.
No, in fact, even to this day, other people make a much bigger deal about it. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm a dumbass. I went up there, I hiked where I shouldn't have, I wasn't good enough, I went off the backside, I should be dead. I mean, bottom line. I mean, it's not because I'm some smart guy or some great outdoorsman. I'm one lucky motherfucker. Very lucky. I can't believe I'm here talking to you right now. Came from Southeast Texas, down by Louisiana, the Gulf Coast. A lot of oil refineries down there. The air stinks. And I can remember being young and complaining about the smell, and the older people would say, "Shut up, boy, that's the smell of money." And I'd be like, money stinks. Once I just became a teenager, really kind of saw the world and the way things work, I just had to withdraw, you know? So most of my memories aren't good. I somehow made it through high school, I don't know how. I left, I moved to Houston, which is the nearest big city. When I got there, I just kind of dropped out of society, got involved in punk rock music, played in some bands, got involved in drugs, got in trouble with the law constantly. I'd actually started that before I left my hometown. I was a horrible person. I lied, cheated, stole. Don't really want to go into it, but yeah, I was a bad person, yeah. I did bad things, you know. Never violent, you know, I never like mugged anybody or anything like that, but yeah. And in my hometown, I gotten into smoking pot and drinking beer, which I still do to this day. And that really never caused me trouble, but it was harder drugs. Before I left my hometown, I got into speed. And that was real big in the punk scene when I moved up to Houston. But I soon found that it really didn't suit my temperament or anything like that, and became a heroin addict. And I was a heroin addict for probably 8 years, really struggling with it. And then off and on for another couple of years. Basically, I self-medicating. I didn't like myself, and that's why I was attracted to heroin. Basically, by learning to like myself and love who I am, I just gradually didn't have the need for heroin anymore. When I moved to Colorado, it's beautiful. It's dry, it doesn't get too hot, it doesn't get too cold. I was never very outdoorsy. Texas is hot, humid, lots of bugs. A lot of my friends were real outdoorsy types when I grew up, and I just wasn't. I didn't like it out there. I started working at a resort when I first moved to Colorado, and at the end of the day, when I finished my job, the lifts had quit running, so I had to snowboard down. At first, I wasn't into it. I didn't want to learn to snowboard, but I had to for the job. Next thing I knew, I was riding, snowboarding kids, you know, a lot younger than me. I never got as good as them or anything, but it made me kind of reassess my life as to what was important. I probably spent more time that last season there in Breckenridge doing heroin than actually snowboarding, you know. So it wasn't a smooth transition. This is a back and forth thing. I mean, changes like that don't happen overnight. I didn't have a drug habit, but I was always willing to experiment, and I did a little bit of heroin and I overdosed. My roommates freaked out, didn't know what to do. Called 911. Of course, the cops came and I got charged for possession. The cop was like, well, either I'm gonna arrest you tonight or you're gonna take my card and call me. Well, I'm gonna take your card and call you. I know what this is about. So I just called him and told him, I was like, I'm not turning anybody over to you. It's like, you can issue a warrant now or you can call me when you issue it and I'll come in. And of course, being the way the cops are, he issued a warrant without telling me. I didn't get arrested until a couple months later, and then it made me look bad. I had a traffic problem, just picked up a quarter pound of pot, had it under my driver's seat, and I'm driving, I did a stupid traffic thing, changing lanes, got pulled over for that. Cop ran my ID, and it was just stupid. He's all scared when he saw what I was in trouble for. He's like, I'm gonna search your car. I'm not gonna get poked by any needles or anything. At the time, I wasn't even using heroin, you know? I was like, no, but you're gonna find a quarter pound of pot under the driver's seat. First, I got probation, and I messed around with that for a year. I just wasn't behaving at the time. I really didn't feel like behaving. I didn't have things together. So they decided to revoke my probation, and they gave me 3 years at the community corrections facility here in Alamosa. Felt like punishment. I didn't have much work experience, so I was stuck washing dishes at the Holiday Inn. There was a gentleman working at the Holiday Inn as a manager, and he liked to snowboard, but when he found out that I'd been going for years, he was like, I want to take you to the local place. And if that guy hadn't been looking out for me, I I wouldn't have gone to Wolf Creek for the next couple of years. And because of that, I haven't missed a single season since I moved to Colorado. I only went twice that year, but I got to go. Now I'm just some schmo that lives here in Southern Colorado. I work IT, networking guy, switches, wireless. I've always been good with like math and numbers and computers. I don't like computers. I've always been somebody that doesn't get noticed, you know? I can like meet somebody 10, 15, 20 times and like they still won't remember who I am. I've always been like that. In 5th grade, I started playing the trumpet and I quickly got demoted. Like first to the baritone horn and then to the tuba. By the time I was in 6th grade, I found something in the tuba. You know, it plays the bass line. Started listening to rock music. And at first it was classic rock and the Beatles and stuff like that. In the early 80s when I heard punk rock, it was just all over with. I quit listening to any other form of music. I was able to relate to the punk rock, whether it was, you know, the real left-wing political stuff, which, you know, didn't go down too well in Texas, or just silly, gross out, obnoxious stuff. To me, punk rock is about being yourself and expressing yourself, whether you have much talent or not. So for me, music is the bottom line, period.
Provoked. They were awesome. That was their first fucking gig. Okay, guys, no moshing. Light stuff on fire, but don't mosh.
February 20th? Yeah, I remember the date. On that particular day, it was snowing really hard. I'd been there a few days when it snowed like that, and it was just, you know, a great day to be snowboarding. So after I finished my breakfast, I went and snowboarded a couple of runs. We got to the top, and because it was snowing so hard, it was hard to get down. We decided to hike up where it'd be steeper for us to go down. And I'll be honest with you, I got a little scared and started hiking back down and got disoriented and became a total whiteout. I didn't know exactly where I was gonna go. When I first actually went down the back side, my goggles were just fogging up. And I told myself, I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna buy some new goggles right now. I'd been disoriented. I didn't realize I was going down the back side. So I put on my board, I go down a ways, and I start realizing I don't recognize anything. There wasn't any snowpacks, even though there was a lot of snow back there, I really couldn't go anywhere. So I started hiking. I took off my board and I would hit these snow drifts. I would just pound down, and I realized, I was like, man, you are in bad shape. And I was thinking, even though I'm on the west side, if I can just go down, hit the highway, I can hitchhike back up to the mountain, and I'll get my car and everything will be all right. I didn't realize that that wasn't gonna happen. So I just kept hiking, and then I found a stream. When I found the stream, I knew I was on the back side, because I've been all over Wolf Creek, and I said, there's no stream. You know? I'm obviously on the back side and I'm in serious trouble, you know? So I'd gotten to the top of this lift here and I hiked past the ski patrol shed, and I'd gotten somewhere between the top of that lift, and I believe that's Alberta Peak there. I'd gotten somewhere in that low-lying area between those two markers, and that's where the wind blew me off the backside. My snowboard, my gear, you know, my clothing, my wallet, my cell phone, which there's no cell service over there. Cell phone was useless. Snowboard tool, and a Clif Bar.
What kind of Clif Bar was it?
Peanut butter crunch.
One of your favorites?
I can't eat one now. At the time it was. I was prepared for snowboarding. As I was going, I kept following this stream, and finally I was like, you're gonna have to stay somewhere for the night. It started getting dark, and I knew I wouldn't be able to see in the woods. Found me a good tree well. Because it was snowing so hard, and trees are warm because they're living creatures, you know, there's like a little well. I didn't know what a snow cave was at the time. That's basically, I didn't build any kind of roof over me or anything. I basically snuggled down that tree well. And, you know, I kept my knees up as close to my body as I could and wrapped my arms around, you know, my knees and tried to keep all my body heat and all my warmth, you know, in me, not dissipating out, you know. I dozed fitfully. I hallucinated a little bit. I imagined things. I imagined animals up there. I never heard a single animal the entire time I was up there. kind of hallucinated. I hallucinated a helicopter landing to come pick me up. That wasn't gonna happen in the snow or at night, and was doing both. I didn't eat anything the rest of the day, Saturday or Sunday. So when I woke up, I just grabbed my snowboard and started hiking down the mountain by the stream. And the stream kept getting bigger. It got to the point where there wasn't anything on the side of the stream for me to hike on. I was having to cross like trees that had fallen across the stream. I was having to crawl across them and get to the other side and go a little ways and then try to get to this side. My feet got wet. And I knew that I wouldn't be able to survive another night out in the cold like that. My feet were wet, you know. It was adrenaline. It was fear, being scared. I mean, I was thinking I was gonna die. Yeah, I overdosed on heroin twice and wound up in the hospital. Those were all quick, and like I said, heroin takes away everything. I hardly knew it happened. This, I was living it. I was thinking about it every moment for the entire time I was out there. Yeah, heroin's a peaceful way to go. This wasn't very peaceful. I had no water or anything. You're not supposed to drink the mountain stream water, but I did. Snow doesn't provide much moisture, and it lowers your body temperature. So you're not supposed to eat handfuls of snow. And I didn't really know that at the time, but I could tell it wasn't working for me. I tried a time or two, and something told me, okay, this isn't, I wasn't feeling hydrated, it wasn't working for me. As I'm hiking, I came up at the top of Silver Falls. There was some water from the stream dripping off, but it wasn't like a roaring waterfall like it is probably right now. I don't think anybody's ever been stupid enough to stand there before, besides me. Because I think most of the people they'd find that have gone off the backside, like those two kids from New Mexico that did it 2 years before I did, I mean, they were found above this. You know, they didn't make it this far. Like I said, it took me overnight to keep going. I think other people just quit and give up. I knew I wasn't going to live up there. I just thought I better keep going down. It was the scariest moment of the whole experience. I stood there for a second, and I looked down, and I was just like, I can't believe this. I looked to either side of me, and it's just sheer cliffs. The only place to go is down. And for half a second, I thought about throwing my snowboard down and jumping. I'm sure I'd be dead if I'd done that. I noticed there was some ice that had frozen from the stream going off, and I couldn't even, like, when I looked over the edge, I could see that ice, and I couldn't even see the bottom. And I thought, well, maybe I could put the board on and ride that ice down if it goes all the way down. I don't really pray or anything. Sometimes I talk to that power, whatever it may be. I usually call him the big guy. I told him, well, first 30 years of my life were shit. You know, that was kind of my fault. The last 12 years have been really good. A lot of people don't get that. So thanks a lot. And then I tried to ride that ice. When I got on it, I realized it only went down a few feet. And I saw another patch of ice I tried to hop on, but I just tumbled down the rest of the way. I mean, I hurt so bad when I landed that it was one of those things where you had to take inventory. I like, can I move my left leg? Can I move my right leg? Can I move my arms? Can I stand up? You know, I mean, that's how hard I hit. Kind of knocked the sense out of me. I didn't know if I was going to be able to continue. And at this point, I'd already been through some ups and downs. You know, when I realized I was lost, I was like, fuck, I'm gonna die out here. I hunkered down for the night. I woke up the next morning, I was like, I'm gonna live. And my feet got wet. I had to jump off the waterfall. I'm like, I'm gonna die. Then I landed hard, but I was able to stand up, move all my limbs. I was like, I'm gonna live. But then I looked and I lost my right glove and my hat. I'm like, I'm gonna die. You know? I was like, well, if I'm gonna die, I am gonna die as far away. They're gonna be like, whoa, this dude kept going. You know, what the hell, you know? He was determined. So I started going. What I didn't realize is that there is a cabin called Silver Falls Grand Station that people kind of go to, and it's only about a half mile away. I was gonna find the cabin. So I'm thinking I'm gonna die. I don't have a hat, don't have a glove. I'm trading the one left-hand glove I have on both hands. I'm having to pound down the snow, go through drifts. I came upon the cabin. I'm like, I'm gonna live. I found the cabin, you know? It's all locked up. I never thought my youthful breaking and entering skills would ever have a useful purpose in my life, but there was some firewood there, and I broke a window and got my ass inside that cabin. It may not sound hard to you, but my ribs were bruised and I was weak from all this. I could hardly crawl through that window after I broke it. I was able to get, there was a stove in there, it had natural gas, so I was able to get the burners going. My feet were wet, I took my boots and my socks off, and I left all my other gear on, and I thought, I had all these things I was gonna do. Crawl back out the window and use the restroom. I was gonna do this, that, and the other. I just laid there and shook for the next few hours. I kept imagining that somebody was pulling up. I mean, I'm out in the middle of nowhere. Nobody's been there forever, but I'm not thinking, you know, in my right mind. And I keep thinking somebody's gonna come in the door and be mad at me. And I'm just gonna yell, I'm hurt, don't shoot me, you know? Because I'm in somebody's cabin out in the woods, you know? So they've got it padlocked up now. That would have sucked if it had been padlocked up when I got here. Look, there's still broken glass from when I broke that window. But when I was here last September, they'd replaced the window I'd broken, didn't bother to clean it up. Yeah, that would suck now. I wouldn't be able to get in there now, probably.
You think you ruined it for everyone else that was going to break into the cabin?
I'm not going to worry about that. At that point, that was Sunday night. I hadn't eaten since breakfast Saturday morning, you know? I ate half the Clif Bar Monday morning when I woke up, which I think it was actually later than morning. I think because of my physical condition, I'd slept later than I thought it was. I'm used to waking up in the morning. And I started hiking, but I hiked for maybe 2 hours and it started to get dark. And I was like, whoa, it's later than you thought. I was like, you better get back to that cabin or you're gonna be stuck out here. And I made the right decision at the right time, because by the time I got back to the cabin, it got dark. I could barely see to crawl back through the window and find the matches to, you know, be able to start my fire again. When I woke up Tuesday morning, the sun was coming through the windows. And I was like, the storm broke. I got half a Clif Bar, this is it. It's like do or die. I'd hiked north the first time, I like hiked south. As I started on Elwood Pass, I saw a little marker they have, you know, talking about it. And the title of it at the top is A Perilous Journey. And it has to do with something that happened on Elwood Pass a long time ago, whatever. I mean, I was a little confused when I was standing here. I was already delirious. Yeah, that didn't make sense to me. I'm looking here at this picture going, okay, if that's Pagosa Springs and that's Del Norte, where's South Fork? I guess back in this day, I guess South Fork wasn't in town yet. You know, I didn't hear any animals the whole time. And I'm on top of Wolf Creek Pass, you know? The only thing I hear is jets. At times, I can hear 3, 4, 5 different jets and see them all. I mean, the sky is huge. I'm on top of a mountain. You know, they're probably miles and miles and miles away from each other. But from my viewpoint, I can see a jet here, a jet there, you know, a third one over here. That's all I can hear. I keep listening for animals. I want to hear a snowmobile. I want to hear a car. I want to hear a bird. It's just dead silence. So I hiked for a couple of hours and it got to the point where I was using my snowboard as a cane. And I was only hiking maybe 10, 20 feet at a time, taking a break, you know? And I got snow almost up to my knees. I mean, it just snowed 40-something inches, you know? I heard the helicopter. And I heard that. I mean, I heard every bit of it. I mean, I heard the helicopter come. I heard it circle, and you can tell. I'm just like, that's for me. I'm gonna make it, you know? It's like, they're gonna come get me. I'm just gonna be all right. I'm not gonna die, you know? We flew over the ski resort. It was so weird seeing the ski resort I hang out in all the time and seeing it, you know, from above on a weekday with everybody skiing. I had a bunch of friends there looking for me. They weren't looking for a live Alec. They were looking for a dead body, you know. The sheriffs and everybody thought that I was somewhere and that I was safe. My friends knew. When they flew me down to an auxiliary lot. I cried when I got there, and they were all waiting for me because they had heard on the radios that I'd been found. And they were worried about me. They were like, oh my God, they found him. They were expecting a body. And then they heard that I was alive, and they were just wondering how many toes and fingers I had left, you know? They took me to the triage area. We pulled off my boots, and on my left foot, I had a couple of purple toes. First, they were like, okay, let's let those do what they need to do, and let's check out the rest of you, your heart rate and all that shit. They would only let me have warm stuff. I could only, the only thing they'd give me was chicken noodle soup and warm Gatorade. Don't know if you've ever had warm Gatorade before. It's not very good. And finally the doc's like, I can't believe you're in this kind of shape for 3 days out in the cold, you know? I've had people tell me that have grown up there and lived there their whole lives. They're like, yeah, every few years people get lost back there and we find them in the spring. That's what we thought was gonna happen with you. To their recollection, nobody's been lost back there like that and survived it. What had happened was that morning they'd printed the article on me. And so they hadn't had time, because the next day the article came out, I was found. Everybody thought I was dead, you know? I'm driving around through Safeway, it's a small town. People are like, oh my God, you know? Kent Jones, the other guy in my band, had been looking for me on the Monday. After they'd found me and I was in the triage, a buddy of mine had called Kent. He was like, hey, I got Kent on the phone, what do you got to say? And I was like, band practice 6 p.m., no excuses, you know? The next day we tried to have practice. And the first song I tried to sing and play, I fell down. I mean, that's literally how weak I was. But I did make it. Of course, we had all kinds of people out. People that I worked with that would never go see my lousy rock band showed up 45 miles away in Southport, you know, just to be there. Couldn't believe I was alive. Friday before I got lost, I stuck up a bunch of flyers all over town, like for my band play the next Saturday around. Instead of like thinking about life and thinking about what everything means and feeling sorry for myself, I kept telling myself two things. One of them was, you're gonna get down the mountain, you're gonna hit the highway, you're gonna hitchhike up, you're gonna get in your car and you drive home, and when people ask you where you've been, you're gonna be like, I've been here. I went snowboarding and I've been at home. What are you talking about? And then after that, obviously wasn't gonna happen. It was like, you're gonna live, you're gonna go and you're gonna like play that show on Saturday. And I know these are both simple-minded things, but that's what kept me going. That's what made me go, was that. Do not get lost with me. And that's one of the reasons I was glad I was alone. I was able to keep that one-track mind. I feel like if I had had somebody else with me and we got lost, we'd argue about what to do, we'd procrastinate, you know. I think it was best that I was by myself. I have been around the backside and been to that Silver Falls cabin and then hiked up to the falls. I even thought to myself, I was like, you know, I wonder if any other human being has ever stood there at the top of that fall, because there'd be no reason to. You couldn't stand on it when the water's rushing off. And the winter, why the hell would you be up there? So I'm kind of wondering if I maybe stood in a place nobody's ever stood before, you know? Yeah, for the record, it sounds way different in February.
What does it sound like in February?
Silence. Or a dumb snowboarder tumbling down the waterfall. I guess what really changed for me is the way that I saw people cared, like all those people at the first aid station, the way everybody came, you know, to talk to me when I showed back up at work. I thought I was just in the background, nobody cared, and people around here really did. I think if I'd been a resident of Denver and this had happened to me, amongst my close friends, be like, yeah, there's a guy on the news, you know, whatever. But and for once, I felt acceptance of it. I felt like I belonged. You know, even when I lived in like Houston and the Bay Area, and even up in Summit County, I never felt like I belonged. And for the most part, when I first moved to the Valley, I didn't feel like I belonged. My life has changed 180 degrees, and it has to do with where I'm at. If this had happened in Denver, I would still be in that big city environment where people don't care and people have that attitude. I remember one of the big put-downs when I was in high school was, you're immature, and I was a very, very immature person. I don't think I really felt like I started growing up till my early 30s, you know. I'm growing and learning. Spending 3 days thinking I was gonna die definitely made me realize that some of the things I was concentrating on in life don't mean anything. I need to leave that alone. And just the small things, friends, for instance, that means the world. That's what's important, you know. I don't know, I felt like I owed something and had to pay back and had to be a good guy and couldn't have fun in a way. It was like, almost like, you know, you've done all these bad things, you've got to do penance for it. Mm-hmm. After the 3 days on the backside of Wolf Creek, I was like, okay, penance done, let's have fun. I think the good die young. I'm gonna be an old man. I'm just this idiot stumbling through life. I don't have any plan, and I'm not like smart and figuring shit out. I'm just, dumb luck? I think I'm pretty good now. So whatever happened, however bad I was, I think things worked out all right.